to Teddy, and the rest of his career, whatever it is, man. I've been so thankful to spend time with him and Jared, obviously, learning from both of them, different perspectives.
Teddy Bridgewater is gone. Just like that. No farewell tour, no drawn-out goodbye, no Instagram countdown post building up to the moment. The Detroit Lions backup quarterback simply walked into the building on a Sunday, and by the end of the day, he was officially stepping away from football, leaving the entire Lions quarterback room scrambling with the preseason opener sitting just 4 days away. And sitting right in the middle of that chaos, suddenly thrust from guy fans didn't know to guy who might be starting an NFL preseason game, is a 23-year-old undrafted rookie out of Mississippi named Luke Altmyer. If you've been sleeping on this story, buckle up, because this one has everything. A veteran's abrupt exit, a scramble to sign reinforcements, and an underdog rookie who says he's ready to cut it loose. Let's set the scene. Dan Campbell stood in front of reporters and confirmed what nobody saw coming. Bridgewater, the Lions' steady, veteran QB2 behind Jared Goff, was placing himself on reserve/retired. For a team that just 4 days later opens its preseason slate on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals, this wasn't just inconvenient timing. It was a full-blown emergency. Bridgewater had been Detroit's security blanket, the guy who could step in and not blink if something happened to Goff. And now, with one signature, that safety net was gone. The front office didn't waste a second. Within hours, reports broke that the Lions were bringing in journeyman veteran Josh Dobbs to restock the quarterback room. But here's the catch. Dobbs is brand new to the building. He hasn't taken a single rep with this offense. He doesn't know the verbiage, doesn't know the tempo, doesn't know Drew Petzing's new system inside and out. Which means for Thursday night in Cincinnati at least, this show belongs to one man, Luke Altmyer. Now, if the name Luke Altmyer doesn't ring a bell yet, get ready, because Lions fans are about to learn it fast. Altmyer isn't some blue-chip, first-round quarterback prospect. He went undrafted. He came out of Illinois, where he transferred in after starting his college career at Ole Miss, and he built a reputation in the Big Ten as a gritty, competitive passer who could sling it around Champaign without much fanfare on the national stage. Scouts liked his arm talent, his mobility, and his football IQ, but questions about his ceiling and his lack of elite physical tools sent him tumbling right out of the 2026 draft entirely. Instead of hearing his name called, Altmyer had to fight his way onto an NFL roster the hard way. No guaranteed contract, no first-round paycheck, just a training camp invite and a chip on his shoulder the size of the Mississippi River. And from everything coming out of Allen Park, that chip has been fueling him. Altmyer has spent training camp soaking up every ounce of knowledge he can from two very different quarterbacks, the retiring Bridgewater and the franchise centerpiece, Jared Goff. In his own words, watching Bridgewater up close taught him something about carrying yourself with quiet confidence. Altmyer described Bridgewater as a guy who was completely comfortable in his own skin, someone who never looked rattled, never looked like the moment was bigger than him. That's a lesson Altmyer says he's trying to build into his own game as he stares down the biggest opportunity of his young career. And then there's Goff, the same Jared Goff who dragged this franchise from laughingstock to playoff contender. The same Goff who Altmyer now credits with showing him what true professionalism looks like on a day-to-day basis. Altmyer's been blunt about it. Training camp grinds get monotonous, the reps blur together, the details pile up. But he says watching Goff attack the ordinary parts of the job, the walk-throughs, the film sessions, the small footwork corrections, with the same intensity as game day, has completely reshaped how he approaches his own preparation. Here's where the story gets even juicier for Lions fans starving for training camp drama. Altmyer isn't just some clipboard holder anymore. With Bridgewater sidelined mentally and physically heading toward the door, and with Goff and most of Detroit's starters expected to sit out entirely against the Bengals, the reps have been pouring onto Altmyer's plate. He's been running with the twos and even the threes in practice, soaking up snap after snap, building the kind of real game comfort that only comes from live reps against live bodies. And according to Altmyer himself, the more reps he gets, the more confident and comfortable he feels stepping onto that field. That's exactly the trajectory the Lions coaching staff wants to see from a kid who, by Thursday night, could be logging something in the neighborhood of 200 snaps in his first taste of NFL football. Speaking of coaching staff, Altmyer has been getting an absolute masterclass from one of the most quarterback-rich coaching rooms in the entire league. Detroit's quarterbacks room includes a legendary former NFL passer at the position coach level, a respected staffer who's coached at a high level in his own right, and offensive-minded voices all pushing Altmyer to sharpen the small stuff. Altmyer says the message from that room has been consistent every single day. Get better than you were yesterday. Not flashy, not complicated, just stacked A's. He talked about soaking in knowledge, sometimes just by sitting quietly in meeting rooms and listening, letting the wisdom of a room full of experienced quarterback minds wash over him rep after rep, conversation after conversation. But let's not pretend this is all sunshine and inspirational quotes. This is also a story about failure, and Altmyer knows it. Dan Campbell himself warned the rookie class that stumbling and making mistakes is simply part of the deal at this stage, and Altmyer has taken that message to heart. He's openly admitted he isn't mastering the huddle communication yet, isn't fully locked in on reading exotic NFL defensive looks he's never seen at the college level, and is still fine-tuning his mechanics and his eyes downfield. Every single day, he says some coach or teammate is pulling him aside to correct something he missed the day before. It's not glamorous. It's the unglamorous grind of turning a small school-adjacent, Big Ten prospect into a legitimate NFL quarterback in real time, under the brightest lights this franchise has, with almost no margin for error. And that pressure is about to get very real, very fast. Thursday night in Cincinnati, Luke Altmyer is expected to take the vast majority of the snaps for the Detroit Lions. Goff isn't playing. Most of his starters aren't playing. This is Altmyer's stage, and depending on how Josh Dobbs' integration goes, it might be the clearest audition tape the kid ever gets for the backup quarterback job heading into the regular season. Perform well, and Altmyer forces the Lions into a genuine quarterback competition, pushing a proven veteran for QB2 reps. Struggle, and the front office may lean hard into Dobbs' experience as the safer long-term answer behind Goff. Either way, this Thursday is a defining moment. There's a personal layer to all of this, too, that makes the story hit even harder. Altmyer is from Mississippi, a state with no NFL franchise of its own, which means growing up, Sundays never meant watching his team. Now he's the one families back home will be tuning in to watch. His parents, his two brothers, and both of his grandparents are reportedly making the trip out for the preseason opener, and Altmyer has been vocal about wanting to play hard for them just as much as he wants to play hard for his new teammates. That's the kind of storyline that turns a random preseason opener into must-watch television for Lions fans. An undrafted kid from state without an NFL team, standing on an NFL sideline, about to lead the huddle with his entire family in the stands. Meanwhile, this quarterback shakeup is unfolding against the backdrop of one of the most talked about off-seasons in recent Lions memory. Detroit just locked up running back Jahmyr Gibbs with a record-setting extension that made him the highest-paid running back in NFL history. The offensive line got rebuilt around Penei, Sewell's moved to left tackle, and the defense has been going through a full identity overhaul under new coordinator Kelvin Shepard. In other words, this isn't a rebuilding roster desperately searching for answers. This is a Super Bowl hopeful roster that just had its quarterback depth chart blown up days before the preseason kicks off. That combination of high stakes and sudden chaos is exactly why this Bridgewater Altmyer story has exploded across Lions social media in the last 24 hours. So keep your eyes locked on Thursday night. Will Luke Altmyer look like a diamond in the rough steel who validates every bit of praise he's gotten in camp? Or will the moment prove too big, too fast, exposing exactly why he went undrafted in the first place? Either way, Detroit Lions fans are about to get their first real look at the man who, for one night at least, holds the keys to this offense. And that's the story, Lions faithful. A stunning retirement, a scrambling front office, and an undrafted rookie from a state with no NFL team getting the opportunity of a lifetime. This is exactly the kind of behind-the-scenes drama we live for here at Detroit Scope. And we're so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. If this channel has helped you stay locked into everything happening with your Lions, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button right now. It costs you nothing, and it means everything to us. Drop a comment down below and let us know. Do you trust Luke Altmyer to hold down that QB2 job? Or do you think Josh Dobbs takes over the second he's up to speed? Smash that like button, share this video with a fellow Lions fan, and we will see you in the next one. Detroit Scope, signing off.